Our very first guest on season 9 of I Am, I Have is someone we always love to hear from at Happiful. It's best-selling author, outstanding content creator, and NSPCC ambassador, Louise Pentland. Welcome, Louise.
What a lovely intro. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Hello, and thanks for having me.
You are so welcome, and we've got so much to talk about today. But can we start off with you introducing yourself to our readers and our listeners and tell them what you think they should know about you?
I am a 37-year-old mum. I used to be a receptionist. When I left university, I was a receptionist with not a lot of clue about what I really wanted to do. And whilst I was the world's worst receptionist, I would read blogs, written old-fashioned blogs. And I quickly thought, I'll give that a go. That sounds like a bit of me because I love writing, I love sharing, I love the community feel. And then someone said, you should try YouTube videos. It might help your blog grow. So I did. And the YouTube took off more than the blog. And then from that came all the other social media like Instagram and Pinterest and TikTok and remember Snapchat and Vine. I've tried them all. And alongside that, I started writing books in 2015, 2016. And at first I thought I'll just do one. And 6 books later, my next book is now out. So it's been a bit of an addiction. But social media, author, mum life, cats and Disney. That's pretty much all you need to know about me.
And there's so much more beyond as well. But you did touch upon your new book, Time After Time, which is fantastic. And I have a copy. Tell us more about this book and kind of the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, well, the inspiration, I need to really work on the PR for this story because the actual story is I had finished my trilogy, the Wild books, they were fiction, and I was about to write my non-fiction mum life, and the publisher said, for your next book, a fiction, we'd agreed it would be a fiction long ago, can you come to us with 2 ideas of what you think you'll do? And I was like, okay, great. Now, I went with one idea that I thought, yeah, they'll definitely go for this. And then one idea that was a bit off the wall about a woman who lived in a small town and felt like she should be doing more because social media and society really pressures you to be a goal-getter, do the next thing, travel the world, achieve everything. And this girl, Tabitha, she wasn't achieving all those things. Just to throw into the mix, one day while she was at work in a vintage shop, she found a way to go back to 1989. And at first she didn't even know she'd gone back. She couldn't feel that. And she met someone in 1989 that she would never in her wildest dreams have thought she would met. She didn't even know. Can't really say too much about the person because it's going to ruin it. Anyway, so I told this whole story and I thought they're never going to go for this. It's so off the wall. So I had already started on the other idea thinking, obviously they're going to go for that like nice, safe, classic idea. And they were like, yeah, time travel, we'll take it. And I was like, okay. But I really liked the idea of going back and visiting people from the past. This book isn't about my life, but if I could go back, I would 100% visit my mum. I talk about my mum all the time. She passed away when I was 7. And it was really fun to write a book that plays with the idea that you could go back. And what would you say? Would you do anything differently? Would you try and change time? Or would you accept it and sort of just tinker with those ideas, I suppose?
It starts you to think about what would you do if you could go back in time? What would you, and how would that impact your life? And would you want it to impact your life? So it's a perfect read, and please do check out Time After Time by Louise. And we're going to head on to your I Ams, and I can't wait to hear more about this. And your first is, I am still learning.
I think this definitely should and could apply to all of us. Just when I think I've got the knack of things, whether that's motherhood or my job or friendships, just adulting, I learn something new, or I learn that I don't know something, because you don't know what you don't know. This is an easy example. My children have gotten into dance. I didn't know there was a whole dance world. I didn't even know that was something I didn't know. And now I'm starting to learn about it. But also in terms of relationships, whether they're ones that you currently have or even ones that you don't have anymore, I'm still learning that the impacts of those can affect you for such a long time. The things that you've said to people can affect for a long time, and how to make peace with those, how to validate your children's feelings. Like, I don't know if it's that during the pandemic, everything was put on pause, including my own like mental growth, which sounds like such a cringy thing to say, doesn't it? My mental growth. But I feel as though I'm having a bit of a period of like coming out of myself a bit, and my brain's working again and firing on all cylinders again. Last year was a bit of a bleak, low year where it was more of a survival year. And now, so if that was surviving, now I feel a bit more thriving, which is really nice. And I feel like a sponge soaking things up, and I'm enjoying that a lot.
That's great that you've shared that about last year being a bit of a survival year and then this year thriving, because I think that's something perhaps we don't talk about as much, which is those kind of ebbs and flows in our life. It's very easy when you're seeing someone on social media, as you cover in so many of the things that you do, to assume that everything is at a certain mood or a certain level of wellness.
I think it's worth remembering, if somebody is a full-time content creator or even a part-time content creator, but they're doing it what I would call professionally, like they're talking to an audience, not just their close friends. It is their job to make something look good. We'll just apologise for the sound in the background, for having some renovations. They're doing some drilling. I'm not making this look good. It's a bit like when I was a receptionist, it was my job to go to work and answer the phone, answer the door, distribute the post and be polite to everyone that came in to the reception area. Whether I was having a good day or a bad day, I didn't get to bring that to work. It was my job to say, hello, welcome to Morgan Ashurst. That's where I used to work. It's my job to do that now. So even when things are bleak, I'll share a little bit. I'm happy to say to people, and I have been saying for the past year, I'm really struggling. I'm getting some help for this. I'm finding this very difficult. But I didn't use it as my personal diary or my best friend, because social media is my job. And as much as my audience and I have a friendly relationship, we're not friends. So it's important to keep that like very healthy boundary.
And it's something that comes up quite a lot on I have. And it's a kind of two-way process of you deciding what is for you and what's for other people.
I think everyone has their own personal boundaries of how much they're happy to share. There's certain topics that I just never go near, probably never will. But I think of it as, if I saw someone that I went to school with in a car park and they said, how have you been? What have you been up to? What would I share? And if I'm happy to share that, I'm happy to put it online. But lately I have been pulling a few things back. I do feel like I used to share more than I do now. And I don't know if that's an age thing or just as the internet has evolved, it's become a different landscape. And so to feel safe and secure and to make the best choices I can for my children, I have pulled back a little bit, but hopefully not too much. Hopefully it's still a warm and welcoming community for people to enjoy and be part of.
I'm just so intrigued about boundaries, because I know it's something that we talk about at Happiful quite a lot.
Let's scrap the podcast and just talk about boundaries, because I can talk about this all day.
Because boundaries, and also a recent podcast we've done as well on people pleasing, these are subjects that come up quite a lot for us at Happiful. You know, boundaries and people pleasing and giving so much of ourselves, whether that's from a place of, you know, it might be from a place of trauma in our childhood. Perhaps we didn't feel like we had that adult figure, so we look to please others to create a sense of security and safety, whether it's about being liked and respected within a workplace, or there is a lot of people pleasing tendencies that we hear about. And the kind of conversation around boundaries and putting in your own boundaries is also one we've had many times, but I'd love your perspective on boundaries.
Well, it's definitely something I'm still working on. That's something I am still learning for sure. For a long time, I think I didn't really consider what my boundaries were. I just went with what I thought everybody else would be happy with. And then if they were happy, that was positive. But that's not always the case. And sometimes you do have to stick to your guns and make hard decisions about things. Now I feel a bit more confident now that I'm 37. So I will just say, no, I'm just not going to share that. Or if someone says, why have you done that? I'm just happy to say, I wanted to. So that's the only answer I need to give there. But I do find myself still preempting things. So I'm happy in the boundaries that I've got, but I worry about really small things that I know, because I'm on social media, will become a comment. So I preempt negative comments, and I want to stop doing that. An example is my daughters, I'm really going off on a tangent now, but my daughters are 11 and 4, and Darcy, my 11-year-old, really, really likes to match with Pearl. They both really enjoy this. And when Pearl was born, I thought, I hope that I get a few opportunities to match them sometimes. Outfits, I mean, that would be so lovely. I never expected that I would still be able to do it now. And I get comments all the time saying they should be allowed to wear whatever they want. Darcy's 11, she shouldn't be dressing like that. And firstly, I feel like I always have to say, they want to dress like this. And then I feel like people don't believe me because, of course, the pushy mum that was forcing her children to wear that would say they want to dress like this. But also I've had comments from people saying Darcy needs to dress older, and she's an 11-year-old child. It's such small, low-level things, but they do sink in. So I'm having to try to put my boundaries up so that instead of preempting that and then thinking, oh, what will I say when they make a comment, I just think I won't say anything because I don't actually, I'm not obliged to comment on the clothing that my family wear unless it's like, you know, entirely inappropriate, which it's not. But yeah, I'm definitely still learning to put boundaries up and to stand firm in them.
I mean, I can imagine that touches on a couple of things, because firstly, as a mum, I can imagine you feel quite protective when people suggest that your child should be dressing older for a start. What does that say?
I just think that's weird. Like, why would you, a stranger, want an 11-year-old girl or boy to dress beyond their age? For what purpose?
Yeah, I can imagine that could bring up a lot in terms of a response, and the fact that you're even preempting it, that's quite a lot of emotional and mental labor.
It's something I've been considering a lot.
Do you think you've been able to stop caring as much as you've kind of progressed through your 30s?
Yes and no. I think in my actual real life, yes, I'm able to care less. Like today, I'm wearing a strapless top. It's hot. Before I would have never got my arms out. I would have put a cardigan on. Now I just think these are just my arms. They're fine. Who cares? But on the internet space, as my platforms have grown, I do find that I care more, or I worry more. So when I look back at really old footage of when Darcy was a baby and I was like 10 years younger, I just was so much more free and comfortable. And as much as I feel like I've got a really warm audience and I've been quite lucky when it comes to trolling or negativity, I think it would be wrong to say I don't care and it hasn't affected me. I don't know a content creator that honestly would say that it hasn't affected them in some way. So it just has made me more aware and a little bit more worried. Like I worry about things a bit more, and I would like to not. I wish I could sit here and say, yeah, no, I'm totally through that and I don't worry and I've got some great advice for other people. But the truth is I do worry. Yeah, it does get to me sometimes.
That's the best thing that you can possibly share, is the truth, because again, you know, it's very easy to say what perhaps would be a kind of glib, I don't worry as much, to give hope to someone else who's worrying.
Yeah.
But actually, what gives hope to people who worry is someone else saying, I worry, I still worry, I've been doing this for X amount of years, whether it's as you do with content creation, or whether it's somebody else who's going to their day-to-day job and still feels anxiety around certain situations or feels like they're being judged. I think there's solidarity in knowing.
Yeah, maybe we could all just be worried together.
Yeah, there's no magic age, there's no magic switch, there's no magic moment that we just go, right, we're sorted. And I think, I don't know about you, I always thought that would happen. I thought I'd reach 40, and although I do care less about certain things, I still obsess about certain things as well.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny because the things that I now don't care about, I used to be absolutely obsessed about. But things that I never even considered, now I consider a lot. And actually, not to be that person, Tabitha in my book is one of those people who worries what people think a lot. She is a big vintage lover. And one of the just tiny little things in the book is that she loves vintage bags. And at the beginning of the book, she doesn't have the confidence to wear her vintage bags out because she thinks, what will people think? They'll think I'm weird. But wearing it's a bit weird, it's a bit different, it's not the norm. And then when she goes back, something happens that makes her be like, screw it, I'm going to wear this bag. And it's nice. And maybe I would quite like to go back to 1989 and find that confidence, and then I'll not worry.
There we go. Maybe we need to set that up.
Yeah, that's all I need to do.
Go back to 1989.
Yeah, I've been wasting all my time and money on counselling when I could just go back to 1989.
So talking about going back to 1989 in your book, your next I am a writer. And I'd love to talk to you about this, because you started off, as you said, with a blog and then went on to YouTube. What is it about writing for you?
I think it's the pouring out for me. I've always loved writing. When I was little, I had diaries that I would just write in notebooks. And then the blog seemed like a really good continuant of that. And then books seemed just like the biggest version of that. Writing's a roller coaster for me. I wouldn't say that I enjoy every bit of it, but the bits that I do enjoy motivate me to do the bits I don't enjoy. So I love the initial coming up with the idea. I love talking about the characters. I love being like, okay, so we've got Tabitha, and she's got a best friend called Vivi, And Vivi's got a husband, and why did she marry him so young? Oh, well, this is why she married him young, and they've got a child. And I really like children characters because they're so playful and fun, and I always put little bits of my own children in them. I put a ton of Easter eggs in every book. This book's got the most Easter eggs in, so if you've been like a social media follower or you've read the other books, you'll find them. So I really enjoy that bit. Then I enjoy writing like the synopsis of it, then mapping it out, and then the hardest part is definitely the first draft, because you've just got to get everything in your head out onto paper. And that's the bit where I come crashing down. I think this is rubbish. This is the worst book I've ever written. This is embarrassing. I'm going to have to actually pull the contract because I can't send this out into the world. And then my editor goes through the first draft, gives me a pep talk and says, okay, we're going to change this. You're going to add here. This bit is rubbish. Change. This bit's really good. Let's develop this part. And I think that this character could really come to the forefront. And then it's like magic. Like, oh, yes, that's right. And then you start playing with it and it gets really exciting. And then there's a bit just after that bit that's more like the last 2 weeks of pregnancy where you're like, I can't do anymore. I don't want to look at this anymore. I've gone blind to this. And then it comes out and it's in a book and people start reading it and sharing their reviews and they love it. And then that's like the euphoric moment. That's like the golden ticket that you work towards for a year, or in this case 2 years, and that's wonderful. And I still love hearing people talk about the other books that they've read or asking questions or like, what did Robin do after New York? I'm like, well, let me tell you, because I know. So I carry the characters on for a while in my mind, because I don't just like, well, that's the end of the book and now she's dead. Like in my mind they're still doing things. So it's a lot of fun. It's really nice. I was a lonely child and I think that has really helped me, because I was that kid that would play alone all day with dolls and make up little lives for them. And now I'm sort of doing that again, but by choice and not lonely.
There's so much in that, Louise. Firstly, I have to tell you how much you came to life when you were talking about writing. You were really glowing when you were talking about writing.
The heat wave. It's very warm.
Listen, don't talk to me about glowing. I am most
You
definitely
seem to be wearing knitwear. I don't know why. It's so hot.
But I did that thing where I was like, I should probably cover myself up.
No, whip it off.
I'm going to whip it off. I'm whipping it off.
Yes, Lucy. She said, ba, ba, ba. Bring your team later. Black interview went great. Small strip show. But otherwise, in fact, that adds to it.
I took off clothes. Yeah, you look really, really happy when you talk about writing, which is wonderful. And also the whole process, I know, because a lot of people who read Happiful enjoy creative writing, and they find that it brings something to them in terms of well-being, that being able to create life on the page.
It's joy. It just brings joy, I think.
Do you find it helps with your well-being? Do you journal? Do you do other kinds of writing?
I keep being told I should be journaling. It's quite hard to journal when you spend all your time writing books. Or I write the chunkiest of Instagram captions. Like I'm writing a magazine article every time I'm doing it and no one reads them. I don't know why, but I'm like, yes, it's a masterpiece. I'm going to share this. So now I don't, but I used to, and I loved it. And that's sort of what the blog was. It's a bit of an online scrapbook, a digital scrapbook. But I find that feeling of pouring out. When you've got writer's block, it's awful. When you're like trying to eke out 3 sentences, that's a disaster. But when you have that moment where you're just like, fire fingers on your laptop and you're just getting it all out, I feel like I could jump up and down and be like, everybody. Like I wrote most of this book at my daughter's dance school whilst waiting for her to do lessons. So I either wrote it in my car or they've got a cafe there. And sometimes I'd be like so in the zone and I'd want to be like, hey, everyone, I just wrote 1,000 really great words. I need you to know. But obviously I didn't. I was like, oh, Sarah, you're right. But really want to be like, yeah, well, thanks. I just read 1,000 really good books.
And that must be the interesting thing about it, because it is, you said, you know, you were a lonely child and you made up characters. Part of being a writer can also be that lonely time when you are, before it's printed.
I like being alone. I definitely do get lonely and I like company, but I am okay just sort of being a bit of a lone ranger. So I quite like it. And I do things with other people every day, but I do like just sitting there in my own world with my characters. That just makes me sound like such a loser, just like sitting in my own world with my made up characters. But I think that fictional characters can be more than just fictional characters. Like you look at some of like the really, really big stories. Look at Harry Potter. Like if you said to someone, you know what, Harry Potter's just a fictional character, when all those characters mean so much. to so many of us, I think you can make what you want of them, really.
So many people love writing, and I know they'll love hearing you talking about writing. And we're going to move on to your next I am, which is I am a mum. Tell us about being a mum.
I've pushed 2 babies out of my body at different times, not on the same day. That would have been painful. And I salute twin mums. It's already gone off on a weird tangent. I've wanted to be a mum my whole life. I knew when I was little, I really wanted to be a mummy. I used to play with dolls and play mums and dads. And then I had Darcy when I was 25, which in hindsight, I feel like I was too young for, maybe not physically, but mentally and emotionally. I was definitely too young to do that, but I did it and it's turned out quite well. And then Pearl is my daughter from my second relationship, and she was a wonderful surprise, like the best surprise I've ever had. I met her dad on Tinder, and about 8 months later, I was like, well, I'm pregnant. And now, like on paper, it seems like it was a disaster, but actually Liam was thrilled and we lived together and we're getting married soon, and she's now 4.5 and she's just light and joy. And Darcy is my sensitive, sort of creative soul, and Pearlie is my energetic, joyful soul. I know that this is what all mums say and it just sounds so twee, but it is the best thing I've ever done and ever will done, and there's nothing more important to me in all of my life than them. In a nutshell, I really enjoy it. I know that there's definitely hard parts, and I tell you what I don't enjoy, babyhood, but once they push past 3, I'm like, yes, I'm here, let's do this, this sounds great.
Again, I think that's a really important thing to share, not enjoying babyhood. That's okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to have another baby because I don't want to be pregnant again. I don't want to give birth again. And I don't want to do the baby stage again. I will go as far as to say I find the baby stage pretty miserable. Obviously, love the baby. Baby is beautiful, gorgeous, wouldn't change it for the world, would walk over hot coals for them. All of those disclaimers that you have to make so that people don't think that you're some kind of monster. But I don't enjoy that phase. I don't enjoy all the physicality of it, because at that time they just need 1,000% physical care. They can't communicate well with you. I fret a lot. I think, am I doing it right? Is this what you want? What are you trying to say to me? The lack of sleep. I feel like for both of my girls, for the first year of life, I just lost myself. And I wouldn't have told you in that year that I had lost myself. I was like, I'm fine. And it wasn't until they hit 1.5, 2 that I was like, oh, I remember this. And I think that's very difficult because you just become mum. In fact, people even talk to you and call you mum. I remember the health assistant being like, hello, mum. And I was like, hello, that's my name now. Louise, I'm a person. And a lot of women, they have maternity leave and they can't do the things that they once did as much. And so now that they're 4 and 11, life is kind of back to normal. They can obviously both talk, they can communicate. We have, as well as a mother-daughter carer being cared for relationship, we have that wonderful, like, enjoying each other's company and a friendship element to it as well, which is really, really rewarding.
That's so beautiful. And like you said earlier on about the dancing, you're learning new things through your girls as well.
Yes.
You know, it's opening up different areas. And I know that a lot of people, as their children get older, they find out more about what's happening in the world at that kind of age group than they would ordinarily. So do you enjoy that part of learning about the world with them?
I love it. Darcy talks to me all the time about Emmeline Pankhurst. She's done the suffragettes. I've learned all about them because of her. Pearlie is just a joy. She really likes Lego and bikes, and Darcy never liked those things, so I'm getting to enjoy those with Pearl for the first time, which is lovely. And the whole dance world, of course. I never danced as a kid. It's also very healing. I'm sure there will be some people who relate, but I hope not too many. I had a really bleak childhood where I was abused and also neglected. And I don't say those in the flippant sense. I say them in the actual literal sense. So I didn't do clubs. I didn't have nice pat lunches made for me. I didn't have like beautiful clothes, like carefully put together with all the little accessories. And so doing that for the girls, one, it's nice because they're benefiting from it. But 2, it's very healing because I feel like I'm readdressing that balance. There was a wrong inside me and now I'm making it right. And so from just a selfish point of view, being a mum is really wonderful for my like traumatized inner child. So I'm really enjoying growing through that as well.
I'm glad that you are having that healing. I don't think it's selfish, or there's a selfish point of view in that. I think that's a win-win for everybody, isn't it? It's your girls are clearly very happy and loved, and you obviously love being their mum. One of the things that I wanted to touch upon, you talked there about childhood abuse and neglect, and this year you supported the NSPCC with a brilliant campaign called Now I Know, and I wondered if you wanted to share a little bit about that. You raised £36,000 for the NSPCC and shed a whole lot of light on everything they do. So tell us more about that.
The NSPCC has been around since 1985, which incidentally is the year I was born. When I was younger, so when I was 7, my mum died. Someone came into my life that began abusing me very severely, physically, emotionally, and mentally. It will stress, not sexually, which I'm very grateful for. And I knew what this person was doing was wrong. At the time, I didn't know quite how wrong, but I knew that it wasn't quite right. And there was a poster up by the payphone at my school, because this is when we had payphones stuck to the wall, about the NSPCC, and it said call and the number, and it had like a picture of a sad girl on it. And I used to walk past that poster every day and think, maybe I'll call them, maybe I'll tell them. But I was so afraid that they would tell my dad or would tell the abuser, and that then it would be made worse for me, because when you're being abused, it's not just punch here or a slap there. It's very layered, and it gets into your head. It's like brainwash. It's grooming, basically. It's groomed to not speak out about it. And so I didn't have the confidence, because I thought, oh no, if they find out, it'll be made so much worse for me. So I'm going to keep quiet. I'm managing. I'm okay. And when I was much older, and totally came out of that scenario, I learned that the NSPCC, for the most part, is completely confidential. There are some very serious exceptions when it's not confidential. I won't go into all of them, but they're on the website, and it includes things like if a child's life is imminently in danger, or if the person they're talking about looks after other children. So, for example, is a teacher or a carer or something. And I really wanted to highlight the things that I now know about the NSPCC that would have made me call them. So I thought, well, I've got this big audience. Why am I not sharing this? Because a lot of this audience are mums, or most people know a child, or maybe they are a young person themselves, although they're typically not children. But I wanted to make everyone aware of what the NSPCC, and specifically Childline, can do. Childline and the NSPCC are not just for children. There is a line there. If you're concerned about a child's well-being or safety, you can call them, and they will signpost you to the right place, because often it's quite hard to call the police. I know people say, just call the police, just call social services. I don't think I would feel super comfortable calling social services, but that's a good first step. So I wanted to raise money for them. We had a target of £30,000 because it costs £30,000 to run Childline for one day, and it's 30 years since my mum passed away, and there's 30 days in April, which was my mum's birthday. So there's lots of like significance to number 30 and when we did it, but we exceeded it, raised £36,000, and then on the 10th of June, that was the day that my audience paid for, basically, and made all of those calls able to happen. And it's just a huge privilege to have the opportunity to help in that way, because I think it's important not to get too noble or too proud of it, because it's a privilege to do charity work. Not everyone can do that, because 10 years ago I would have been like, I can't, I've got to focus on my bills and my job. But now I have a bit more freedom and a bit more wiggle room to do things like that. So yeah, I was really pleased. I don't think this will be the end as well. It might be the end of Now I Know, the campaign, but I can feel it in my waters that there's more to come. And the NSPCC website is the best resource for anything about the charities. If you do have any concerns about a child, or perhaps you were a child that went through some hard stuff and you are looking to start your healing journey, definitely their website is just absolutely packed with amazing resources.
So thank you for sharing that. And
yeah, thanks for letting me talk about that on the podcast. Appreciate it.
And we're on to your I have, which is I have lived with grief. And that's something I think will resonate with a lot of people. What would you like to share about living with grief?
Maybe I'd like to share that it's possible, and it's not actually the end of the world. My mum died when I was very little, when I was 7. So I've had 30 years to sort of get used to that, and I am very used to it now. But I get a lot of women and girls messaging me. My audience is predominantly female. Men are welcome as well, but they just typically don't. A lot of women and girls messaging saying that they've just lost their mum, or their mum died last year or recently, and how will they ever cope? How will they ever continue living? And I always tell them the same thing, that you will continue living. You have to live twice as hard now because you're living for you and for them. And that it's okay just to accept having a mum-shaped hole in your life, or a gran-shaped hole, or a sister, or, you know, whoever you've lost. The point of grief is not to get rid of it. You'll never get over it. So don't try being like, okay, when am I going to feel perfectly better? You never will. Death changes you, but grief can live alongside you, and you can still have a very happy, meaningful life with grief in it. But I think you have to just accept that it's there.
That is the most wonderful explanation I have heard. The two are hand in hand sometimes, the joy and the grief.
Yeah, you can feel both things at once, and you don't have to feel guilty for living your life happily. I think that it's really easy to think, oh, you know, I shouldn't be happy about this because they can't be. No, it's the opposite. You should be twice as happy because they're not there to be happy with you. And I believe that one day we'll all meet again. I don't know if I believe that they're looking down on us, but people always say, she's looking down. I just say, oh, thank you. But I think that we'll all meet again in some capacity one day. And you want to have had a full life to be able to, like, guess what I did? Let me tell you. You don't want to get up there and say, I just did nothing because I was feeling so sad. That's not what anybody wants. Especially with parents. When I think, God forbid, if something happened to me, I definitely would want my girls to live like the fullest, best life possible. So that's what I'm doing for my mum.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. So we've come to the end of the podcast, and our final question is about 10 years from now. So obviously in your book, Tabitha goes back in time.
Yeah.
We'd like to ask you, Louise, to go forward 10 years in time. And you're going to sit somewhere very lovely with future Louise. And she's going to give you some words of wisdom about what the future holds or where she's at. What do you hope she'd say to you?
I hope that future Louise says, well done on finally organising all your bits of paper in the office. You're so organised now. You're doing such a good job knowing when all the direct debits come out. That's the first thing I hope she says. I hope she says that I've navigated things well with difficult relationships, that the children have grown up to be really adjusted, happy people. Like Darcy will be 21 and Pearl will be 14, which blows my mind. I hope that Liam is still there, sat beside me. And I hope that all the creams that I use have paid off. And in 10 years, it only looks like 5 years.
I love it. That sounds like the best kind of conversation. And Louise, I have loved talking to you.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this.
Before we leave each other, can you tell everyone where they can find you online, and also just one more time about your book?
Yes, so you can find me at Louise Pentland anywhere. So Louise Pentland on Instagram, Louise Pentland on YouTube, TikTok, all of it. It's just my name, Louise Pentland. The book is out now. It's joyful. There's some deep bits. It's fun, and it's going to make you want to raid your wardrobe for all your best things.
Louise, thank you. I hope we'll speak again soon.
Sure we will. Thank you. Bye.